What is good, YouTube? James with a Z back. Today I'm coming at you with another yap, another rant. Larptubers. Where did they come from, first off? And why is it becoming actually somewhat popular? I think it started with either like Larpplier or Technolarp, because I don't even really honestly know where it started. I just know that it's become like not rampant, because I mean I'm not seeing it everywhere, but a lot of people are shifting more towards this content idea, and I honestly just don't know why. First off, it's just extremely unoriginal. I mean, you're LARPing, you're playing as another person, another successful person. I mean, some people could argue you're basically copy and pasting, just adding your own like finishing touches to it or something like that. Like the analogy of where like, oh bro, can I copy your homework? And then you're like, yeah, bro. Just don't, make it obvious just don't make it obvious that you copied my work. And you'd be like, all right. And then this is what you get, a Larptuber. It really doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't understand why somebody would want to do it. I guess, the quick instant dopamine rush of the attention, the likes, the comments, and everything like that. It probably is the driving factor behind it. I mean, yeah, it can be funny if like you're like genuinely a huge fan and you're just hopping on the trend just to be funny, but like if you're like genuinely trying to like make something out of it, I don't know. I just think it's the wrong move. Maybe I'm just small brained and these people can somewhat transition the audience that they've made into their own content, but I highly doubt it because they're there to essentially watch like a Kmart version of their favorite creator. You got you got Penguin Zero with his LARP person, and I guess he said that like he's cool with it all. The whole Technoblade situation's a little different because rest in peace Technoblade. But yeah, because LARPing as somebody that's passed is way different than LARPing as somebody that's alive. But he says he's cool with it, but then again, he's turned off his donations on some of his streams. I mean, he doesn't need to make any more money. He could sustain himself for the rest of his life if he quit today on YouTube. He's a really good guy. I mean, all the power to him. So, I mean, it's really not going to affect him if somebody's LARPing as him. But if it's like a medium-sized creator, that could do damage. Then again, it's a medium-sized creator. They're probably not going to be having someone LARP as them. Unless, like, they have, like, a weird, like, ultra huge egotistical fan or something, which I highly doubt that. But then again, there are some just niche communities out there with niche creators. So I'm not gonna write that one off. You never know, man. It just the world's crazy. The world is crazy, especially nowadays, man. Oh man. But another reason why it just irks me a lot is it's just like extremely lazy. And I know that's really ironic coming from somebody like me, because I'm just basically yapping, ranting. I edit the videos a little bit, and I just put gameplay on the background. It's not like I'm breaking my own back trying to deliver high quality content, or at least not yet, because I have no subscribers. I'm really new. I'm really fresh. So, the ROI wouldn't make any sense to drop all this money and time into it until, like, I at least know that it's going to give me some sort of success or some sort of, outcome that is worth doing this every so often. But yeah, no, it's just kind of lazy because they're just essentially copying another creator, what they're doing, either their mannerisms, just how they act, or maybe the games they're playing, or the jokes they tell. It's not original, obviously, because they're LARPing. Yeah, and that might be a nitpick because when you say it out loud, obviously it's pretty apparent. It's obvious that there's no explanation needed. Is kind of what I'm getting at. I want to talk about Technoblade, and I'll kind of save that for around the end because I do have some personal feelings about that. But I just feel like it'd be super unsustainable for whoever's doing it. Like I kind of mentioned before, unless they're somewhat able to shift the audience that they curate into their own content, whether it be whatever it is, unless they can do that somewhat successfully, you know, kite them over, it's just not going to be something that is going to be sustainable. I mean, eventually people are definitely going to get bored because it really just seems like a trend nowadays. Or, you know, you're just going to, either they're going to get bored or you're just going to slowly start losing it because you're not being yourself unless like you genuinely want to be this person. And there probably are some people out there that are like that, but if you're not an NPC, you're not living up to who you are. You know, even if it is just doing what I'm doing, voicing your opinion on the internet, basically using it as a diary or whatever, not the internet, but YouTube. Um, at least I'm creating something that I don't want to say is not replicatable because AI is very rampant now. And not only AI, but it's not like I'm the first one to come up with this revolutionary idea of commentary videos. But yeah, it's there's no way that you could just do this for the rest of your life. I mean, you're always going to be living in some other dude's shadow. And yeah, maybe if you get like somewhat decently big enough and you do make, you know, a living off of it, if you want to call it a living, sure, you could argue that. But are you going to be really fulfilled after that? I would not think so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me speaking out of my own ass here, but I would not want to imitate another dude for more than, you know, like the gag. You know, you can make a few videos or drag it on for a little bit, but they're going to drive themselves insane. And I don't even feel like I'm over exaggerating like that with that. Because there are some streamers out there, they lose the love in their own passion because most of the time they want to get views, and if they're not either playing like a certain game or keeping up with, you know, a certain image or anything like that, they're going to lose views. And it's just overall, it's just something that kind of eats you up slowly over time. You know, imagine, you know, loading up the same game over and over and over, and you're sick and tired of it. And it's the last thing you want to do, but it's what pays your bills. It's what gets you views. It gives you the outcome that you want. Can you blame a motherfucker for doing it? I don't think so. I'm not trying to like, you know, run into the LARPers corners over here and defend them, but I can see where they're coming from in a way, especially with how oversaturated almost everything is nowadays. It's really hard to like blow up or make a name for yourself or become successful without either having like a viral thing happen to you on like TikTok or Instagram Reels or anything like that, or hopping on a trend or doing something like this. Because, I mean, obviously they're going to be somewhat popular, the LARP tubers, because they're imitating somebody that already is super successful. Now, obviously, they're not going to pull anywhere near the amount of numbers that the original does, but you know, that's not what they're going for. Because I would hope that's not what they're going for. They're not them. There's no way they could ever make what they make better than what they do because they're not them. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it only just slightly irritates me because, you know, it's not affecting my life personally, but at the same time, you know, it's just putting more and more slop on YouTube, and it just makes it a little bit harder for, you know, newer creators or smaller creators to get genuine push or just like any sort of pull, like any sort of traction in the algorithm, whether it could be, you know, likes, comments or whatever like that, or maybe, you know, their dislikes or negative comments, and kind of like let you know like what you're doing wrong and maybe where you can improve. But if you're getting like nothing, then it's kind of hard to do. Maybe I'm just projecting. Who knows? But let's go ahead and talk about that Technoblade incident real quick before I wrap this video up. So, me personally, I was never into the Dream SMP. I mean, I'm pretty big into Minecraft. I've played it on and off for over the years, but like I've never been into like the big YouTubers. Well, at least now. Younger, I watched like Stampy and why am I blanking on it right now? I can like remember their, I'm really good at remembering names but not faces. But Stampy and, you know, the other like big core Minecraft YouTubers, I was huge into them, but as I grew older, it's just not really something I kept up with. And I know Technoblade was a part of the Dream SMP, or at least that's what my little brother told me, because he was actually a really big Technoblade fan. And that's the reason why this kind of holds some weight with me, because I kind of had a debate with him the other day before we were going into the gym about like his thoughts and opinions on it. And honestly, at first, I think he was just kind of looking at it through like naive lenses. But he said he didn't really see an issue with it, which really surprised me because, if you think about it, like I know some people want to argue that he's only doing it to, pay respect and homage to Technoblade and everything like that. Because I know he had a pretty big supporting and following and subscribers. I mean, I don't remember I don't know off the top of my head know how much he has, but I know that he was really well loved by his community, and a lot of people just didn't really deal with the grief or the pain all that well. So it was almost like a coping mechanism for them, in a way, to like see their creator back. I mean, it wasn't him, but dude sounded pretty accurate to him. He kind of had the same mannerisms. Played Minecraft, had similar skin. Like, he was LARPing as him, and he did a pretty good job. I mean, all things considered. But at the end of the day, you're pretending to be somebody that isn't here anymore. I mean, that's just so fucked up. I don't understand how anyone else could have a different opinion on that. Even if like you're donating the money to charity or whatever, trying to make it seem like a good thing, I just don't think it's something that should be done. Something like of that scale, especially when it was something that happened so recent, like happened 4 years ago. I mean, you could say like, oh yeah, I mean that might as well have been a lifetime ago because everything passes by so quickly now. But that is really not all that long ago. And like I said before, he was really loved by his community and just overall, because I heard he was a really wholesome guy. And it's just not the way to go. I mean, even if you're not receiving any money, it's all going to charity. I just still think it's just weird. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. And the fact that this guy had to ask his dad and he didn't get a response, so he just kind of took that as like oh yeah, he's giving me the go ahead. He's giving me the green light. Let's go. Let's roll. And he started doing it. And then, after that, he kept asking the Technoblade's dad, and then all these fans and different people that were fans of Technoblade, haters, and the people that were just, seeing it all, haters, lovers, whatever it be, all started bombarding his dad as well and started overwhelming him and just kind of like forced him to give a response. He said he didn't know how to feel about it, essentially. And a lot of people actually tried to defend Technolarp and say that that statement means essentially he's cool with it. Even though, if you know human psychology at all, and if you're talking to somebody, if they don't want to like comment on something and say they don't know what to think about it, it more than likely means that it's either no or a negative, and they just don't want to like take any shame or any hate or anything like that from the community, because he didn't want to, ruin his own son's image too. He built like such a big following and a huge, great name for himself, and he didn't want to be like the quote unquote loser dad and, piss off all these people and then ruin his son's legacy. But at the same time, that's his son. And he's still grieving over it. And having all this stuff pop back up, it's almost like blowing it right back up in his face, making him relive all this stuff over again. And over time, it does somewhat get easier, but not that quickly. Especially a parent losing a child. I've heard that's the worst way. So like the worst dynamic between people losing somebody. I wouldn't know, because I mean I've lost my father at a young age, but I don't have a kid, so I'll never be able to know. But yeah, no, just like they're just kind of pestering him over it, just wanting a response when all he wants to do is be left alone at the end of the day. But yeah, no, those are my thoughts on the Larptubers and Technolarp and everything like that. Peace out. You have a chill one.